Medieval culture has had a way in enlightening us on their culture and how exactly they punish their criminals or simply people who do not agree with them. There are numerous torture devices that will send shivers down your spine just hearing about them. But today, let's just focus on one particular gruesome torture device that will leave you thinking your lucky stars that you weren't one of its victims. As you already may or may not know, the brazen pole was a medieval torture device used for a means of execution. Victims would be thrown inside the bowl, and a fire would be set underneath, essentially cooking the victim inside. It was a device first implemented back between 570 and 554 BC. The device was supposedly fitted with tubes that distorted the sound of the victim's screams and made it sound like the bellowing of a bull. When the burning was done, the bones were made into bracelets. But this brings up an interesting question. What exactly ends up killing said victim? Well, there is no doubt that a number of factors would ensue before the victim would finally succumb. Let's take a look into this interesting yet horrifying device and learn what it is that exactly ends up killing you. First, as the bowl would quickly start reaching higher temperatures, the surface underneath you would start getting increasingly hot. More than likely, you would be positioned on your hands and knees, and the heat would travel into your body through conduction. This is similar to how it would feel if you placed your hand on an open stove. Despite the excruciating pain, there would be nothing you could do to escape it. As you continue to squirm and move, attempting to escape the extreme heat, more of your body is exposed to first and second degree burns. Eventually, these first and second degree burns will lead to third degree burns. Excluding fourth degree burns, third degree burns are the most severe. They cause the most damage, extending through every layer of skin. Fortunately for the victim, however, third degree burns don't carry any pain. The depth of the burn will damage the nerves, rendering any feeling in that exposed area. All while this is happening, the temperature inside the bowl continues to increase, reaching the body through convection. If you had not already succumbed to heat exhaustion and passed out, you will be able to feel a number of changes start to take place in your body. The systems in the human body that enable it to adapt to heat become overwhelmed. When a person is exposed to heat for a very long time, the first thing that shuts down is the ability to sweat. When that shuts down, the body becomes very hot. Eventually, that begins to affect the brain, and that's when people begin to get confused and can lose consciousness. As the body temperature increases very rapidly, the central nervous system and circulatory system are impacted. Once your core gets above about 104 degrees, you're in serious danger. High internal temperatures lead to increased pressure in your skull and decreased blood flow to your brain. Doctors diagnose heat stroke when the heat starts to affect your central nervous system. Damaged tissue may also enter your bloodstream and lead to kidney failure. Very high internal temperatures, like 120 degrees, can destroy the cells in your body through direct heat damage. Elevated body temperature triggers chemical reactions in the cells of the body. Highly active cells such as brain, intestinal, and liver cells are at greater risk for heat trauma. Most heat stroke victims are dehydrated as well, and their blood thickens to the point that the heart has severe stresses placed on it in trying to pump the abnormally thick blood through the blood vessels. In situations where the heat stroke victim has experienced a dangerously high body temperature for a length of time, such that too many brain cells and other body cells have been damaged, death will result. It is likely that heat stroke would kill the victim within a 10 to 15 minute time period. The temperatures within the bowl were capable of reaching temperatures upwards of 1,000 degrees. However, it was likely that you would be long dead before it got close to reaching its peak temperature. If somehow the victim were to remain conscious, past the effects of heat exhaustion and heat stroke, they would then face the devastating effects of breathing in the superheated gases. As the temperature of the airway rises, the burn concentration also increases. Each inspiration-expiration cycle raises the burn concentration by a greater increment. Significant burns in the trachea starts at around an inhalation air temperature of 185 degrees Fahrenheit over a period of 20 seconds. As the trachea swells to a point where you are no longer able to breathe, asphyxiation occurs. Whether you are still alive by this point depends on the person themselves, and whether or not they have already died from a previous effect from the scorching temperatures.